Howdy y'all, Blue Couch Productions here with another epic Fortnite video. Today we're going to be talking about the thickest Fortnite anime avatars.
No. This whole thing is wrong. Like, what is this?
What do you mean?
Fortnite?
What?
When have I ever talked about Fortnite?
We Fortnite every day that ends with Y, my man.
every day, basically.
What? Yes. Every day, bro. We out here Fortnite.
And I don't get what you're doing with the hand gestures. Like, I don't come on here and then just howdy guys, it's Blue Cat. Like, that's totally exaggerated.
What do you mean? Every time I watch a blue-red sofa love seat
Get the
show.
fuck out of here. Get the fuck out. I can't believe you get your brother on one video, and suddenly he thinks he owns the place. Go. Get out of here.
I'm keeping the Fortnite card.
No, those are mine.
Too bad.
Those are mine.
Fine. Can I at least have my pants?
No, I'm afraid I'm gonna have to keep them. So you know how big you fucked up here.
Okay.
Howdy guys, I'm Aiden of Blue Couch Productions, and on my channel I like to talk about video games and interesting media. So if that sounds good to you, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell, that way you don't miss an upload. Yeah, we're going to be reviewing and ranking every single level in the original Super Mario Bros., all 32 of them. I'm going to be giving each level a rating between 1 and 5, 1 being the worst and 5 being the best. But with those ground rules out of the way, let's go ahead and hop into the list. When asked about what the worst level in all of Super Mario Bros. Is, I'd have to say it easily goes to 8-2. It's not the longest level in the game, but the obstacles are far more brutal. Heck, it even starts out with a Lakitu and 2 paratroopers. Then you have to deal with some bullet bill shenanigans, and then the hardest jump in the game, where you have to leap into a tiny block and go super far with almost no momentum given to you, and they block it off with a piranha plant. Keep in mind, what also makes this stage suck is that you have to do it without getting hit because you need power-ups for the final 2 stages, meaning there's an added pressure on top of everything that just makes the stage so much worse. Easily my least favorite stage, a 1 out of 5. 8-3 is the second hardest level in the game, and the only reason that's the case is because of one thing: Hammer Brothers. You get 6 encounters with them throughout the stage, which means the odds of getting hit are very high. If you're lucky, you'll have a Fire Flower, but if you don't, the only place to get power-ups is, guess what, guarded by the Hammer Brothers. So you have to find a way to knock 2 of them out, hopefully get a power-up, do perfect at the rest of the stage while avoiding the rest of them. Granted, there's no tough jumps, no other tough spots, but 6 encounters with Hammer Brothers is 6 way too many. 1 out of 5. Are you noticing a pattern here? The hardest levels are going at the bottom for me, and what makes this one so bad is those damn springs. Easily my least favorite mechanic in any Mario game. You would think all you would have to do is jump on them and you would get a high enough height right away, but no, it's timing based, meaning I can never get the right height I need, and with all that luck in play, it makes the rest of the stage so much scarier. You got bottomless pits, you got bullet bills, and yeah, there's not 1 spring section, there's 2, so even if you get lucky on the first one, you're gonna get fucked on the second one regardless. Too much luck, too much randomness. I hate the springs, and this is the worst level that features them. 1 out of 5. A bad platforming stage is one thing, but a bad underwater level? Yeah, that's a completely different level of bad. This shit is horrible. You have bloopers everywhere, no room to avoid them, and the stage just goes on and on and on. The wacky part? There's only 2 underwater stages in the game, so you have the very first one early on, and now 7-2, out of nowhere. Just hard as fuck. 1 out of 5. For the love of God, please don't use this spring. Just knock out the Koopa and then run to the platform instead. These springs are just always placed in the worst spots to get you killed. Anyway, the rest of the stage is kinda weird. We have a one-off encounter with the Hammer Bro, a star running section that's poorly placed, and even an underwater section if you get into the right pipe. But why would you ever choose that? It's quicker just to run through the stage normally. To me, this feels like the most poorly designed stage, where none of the sections really leave an impression, and what's there isn't good. 1 out of 5. 8-1 taught me how to use the continue feature. On the Super Nintendo, it's easy. You simply just press save and continue and you move on. But in the original, they don't tell you how to do it. So all you have to do is hold A and then press start. I did that 1,000 times because 8-1 is a gauntlet. It's the longest level in the game with the most enemies, some of the toughest jumps, and absolutely no power-ups. You'll be lucky not to run out of time considering how long it is. The only reason I like it more than the other World 8 stages is simply because I've memorized it to this point, but for newcomers, yeah, it sucks pretty hard. A 2 out of 5. I don't know if it's just me, but I've always found the castle levels to be super disappointing. Oftentimes, it's the same boring, drab theme with the same sections repeated over and over again, and then a Bowser fight that's super easy. What makes 5-4 the worst of that bunch is that it's the hardest castle in the entire game. You have a giant fire bar that passes through 3 platforms at the beginning, and then a rising platform bit where you have to jump to 2 tiny platforms and then dodge a fireball and a fireball right at the end. The only bearable part is the Bowser fight, but given how easy he is in some of the later castles, I wouldn't call that a compliment. It's just so weird that the hardest castle is midway through the game. 2 out of 5. 5-4 may be the toughest castle level, but 8-4 has the worst ending to any castle level. The majority of the stage is actually pretty simple. It's a pipe maze, where you have to go down the correct pipe in order to continue. It's pretty easy to figure out, you just go to the last one or the toughest to get to, but after that is where me and this stage start to have problems. They give you 2 jumps at the end, which are near impossible. The first is with a Hammer Bro in a tight amount of space that you have to get over while also dodging the fireball. The second is Bowser at its toughest. Hammer Brothers everywhere, he's jumping up and down. You're bound to get hit if you're small Mario, which is why I recommend having a power up. But if you don't have it, it's slightly better than 5-4, but not by much. 2 out of 5. What is the stage supposed to be exactly? Is it a snow theme? In the original version, it's just a blacked out mess. Thankfully, the Super Nintendo shows it off way better. Anyway, theming aside, this stage is super difficult because it introduces both the Hammer Brothers and the Springs, 2 things that I've already bitched about repeatedly, and yeah, they're back to back in this stage, which means it goes against everything that I like. The rest of the stage is fine, I guess, but I don't like it that much. 2 out of 5. I hope you like castle levels because we're going to be going through a bunch of them right now. Up first, 3-4. It starts with 3 small platforms, each with fire bars rotating, but also small fireballs that shoot up as you're trying to jump to each platform. Thankfully, they do give you a power-up right after it to make it bearable, but after that somewhat tough first section, the rest of the level is mostly forgettable. But hey, it's the first time I died on the Super Nintendo version, so that's at least worth something. 2 out of 5. 6-4 is easily the least memorable castle stage. Every section here is borrowed from another castle, with the only new thing being Bowser as he throws hammers this time. But he's not too bad. 2 out of 5. The problem with 2-4 is that this castle is even easier than 1-4. The start with fireballs is super easy to avoid, the firebar section is even easier, the only hard part is these platforms that go up and down. Otherwise though, it's a cakewalk, and the Bowser fight's easy too. Why is this the easiest castle in the game? 2 out of 5. Look, underwater stages have never been anyone's favorite, and I get why. Mario's movement is slowed, it's much harder to dodge enemies, the bloopers are ruthless, and Cheep Cheeps just spawn infinitely. Thankfully, this stage is better than 7-2, specifically because it's shorter and they do a good job at placing the enemies about. Still though, I don't like the concept, and so it's still near the bottom of my list. 2 out of 5. What's with World 2 levels being easier than World 1? This is yet another example, as most players are going to have a fire flower at this point, and the stage just becomes a total cakewalk. It actually gets a little bit more interesting though when you lose it. You have to be far more cautious and play it safe, especially on this part with a small island and a Paracupa that you have little time to avoid. It's an interesting stage, albeit maybe a little too easy in spots. 3 out of 5. You know, a lot of people say that the original Mario is too easy of a game. And to those people, I would say play World 7 and see how you feel afterwards. It's around this point when the difficulty starts to scale up, but at least in this level, it's in a good way. The Bullet Bill section is a fun area to try to get through, and hey, you have 2 Hammer Brothers encounters, but they're not too bad. You can get a mushroom at least to go past all of them. See, I'm not averse to challenge, I just like when it's executed well. 3 out of 5. Oh yeah, another boring castle level with repeating sections. I'm so excited. Oh, no? Wait, this castle's doing something different? Yeah, it's another maze level. It may be a bit too long for my liking, but the layout is totally fun. I even had to use a guide to get through it just because it can be rather tough. Add that with a more fun version of Bowser, and you have one of the more balanced castle levels in my opinion. An easy 3 out of 5. So take all the points that I said about 7-4 and repeat them again. Only 4-4 introduced the maze concept first, it's a little bit shorter, and a little bit more fun. The only part bad about this one is the Bowser fight is a little boring, but that doesn't detract from this being the better maze castle. 3 out of 5. You may have noticed we haven't been talking about many tree levels. Why is that the case? Well, they're actually some of my favorites. This one is memorable because of the bullet bills. I just think these jumps become a lot harder when you have random bills showing up at the worst time. It makes the stress and the tension a little bit higher, but it's a fun challenge, even if the layout is almost identical to 1-3. Another 3 out of 5. Wow, I guess Nintendo is starting to hear my complaints about the lack of variety because they changed this entire level theme from trees to mushrooms. Why mushrooms exactly? I have no idea. They don't change anything, the gameplay is no different, it's just a nice visual difference. The level itself is fine, it's a normal tree platforming level. I'm just so perplexed as to why they put all this work to change the look of this one level. 3 out of 5. So, what's my favorite castle level in the game? Well, that honor goes to the original 1-4. Now granted, I'm being nice to it because it's the first level. All the problems that I listed with earlier castle levels aren't as bad here because it was the first attempt, and it introduced us to what castle levels could be. I just think that as they kept repeating it on and on, that's when it started to get worse. 3 out of 5 for me. Who doesn't love bullet bills? Yeah, this level introduces them to the series, and they offer a nice challenge. Thankfully, the first time you see them, you'll likely have a star on you, meaning you won't get hit right away. You'll be able to see what they do, react to it, and then when the star runs out, you're better prepared to deal with the later bullet bills. I'm going to give this one a 4 out of 5. It's yet another tree level, but this time the jumps are slightly harder to make. We also have these pulleys, where 2 platforms hang, but if you jump on one, the other is affected. I don't mind these at all, simply because the timing is perfect. It's always felt fair as they give you a couple of seconds to react, that way you can make a jump and get off the pulley in time. Add multiple ones of these together, and it creates some fun, engaging segments. 4 out of 5. This is a fun level. It's mainly just a flat obstacle course filled with a bunch of enemies, but the fun part is that you can actually get a star early on, which makes this level a total breeze. I won't lie, it's really fun getting the star and then killing all those enemies super fast, but even if you somehow miss it, the stage is still relatively fun. You just have to use a Koopa Troopa shell and knock out a bunch of the enemies. I like this stage. 4 out of 5. So this may come as a shocker to some, but I actually don't mind the Lakitu levels. In fact, I actually really like them. I can understand how for newcomers this is a tough stage, but if you know how to kill him, he's not too bad at all. Usually in this one, I always outrun him until I get to the middle section with the power up. Then I jump to the very top, jump on his head, and bam, he's dead. You can easily run through the rest of the level now. It can be kind of difficult if you don't know how to kill him, sure, but once you do, the stage itself is super easy, and since there's not really that many obstacles or enemies, Lakitu is the main focus. So, this one's always a free win for me. I like it. 4 out of 5. The only reason this Lakitu level is higher than the last one is because it's even easier to kill him here. They give you an opportunity right at the beginning of the stage. Simply get to this platform, jump on his head, bam, he's dead. At least they thought ahead a little bit, as Lakitu now respawns at certain points, But again, they're always in spots where you can kill them immediately. It's just a guaranteed win. 4 out of 5. I've always liked the change of pace this level represents. 1-1 is typical platforming, 1-2 is underground, so by the time you get to this one, you're not sure what to expect. And to be up near a bunch of trees, I always thought that was a cool setting. Considering all you're doing is jumping over bottomless pits, I'm surprised at just how good this stage ended up being. 4 out of 5. So many levels in Super Mario Bros. Just kind of feel like a blur to me. If you played one, you've played all of them, and you don't have to think about it. 6-2 is interesting in the fact that it's themed around one specific enemy, the Piranha Plant, and they get the most out of that idea. On so many levels, you're avoiding Piranha Plants and ignoring them, but here they're a tough challenge simply because the quantity is so huge, and I enjoy it for being so unique. 4 out of 5. Have you ever wondered why almost every Mario game has the second level be underground? Well, this is the reason why. The stage is mainly focused on fighting enemies in small confined spaces. In 1-1, the primary focus was all about platforming, so you didn't really have to worry about where the enemies were placed. But here, there's a ceiling, so if you jump too high, you'll just hit a block, so you have to be more careful. Let's be honest though, the real reason this level is so iconic is the warp. If you get to the top of the stage and run all the way to the right, you'll have these pipes where you can go all the way to World 4, so the stage is pretty huge for people replaying the game, both casual players and speedrunners alike. It gets my first ever 5 out of 5. I did not like this level as a kid. Running across a bridge seems like such a simple concept, but add to the fact that there are Cheep Cheeps flying through the air, and you have to do multiple jumps over bottomless pits, and suddenly it gets a lot scarier. The funny thing now is that I actually love this stage. I like the risk-reward mechanic. I like the fact that it's focused on momentum and speed, almost like it's a Sonic level. It's the first stage where I have to actually think about what I'm doing, and for that reason alone, it ends up going so high on the list. It's a perfect 5 out of 5. So I'm sure you've already noticed by now, but I actually did 2 playthroughs of this game. One was on the NES, and the other was on the Super Nintendo. And, out of every stage in the game, this was the only one where I died in both versions. How crazy is that? Anyway, the stage itself is an identical copy of 2-3. The only major difference is that it features multiple Koopa Troopas on the bridge, so you have to play a little bit more cautiously to get around them. It makes it my preferred version of the bridge level. Another 5 out of 5. Can you guess how many underground levels are in Super Mario Bros? If you guessed 2, you're correct. Isn't that strange? You would think that the underground theme is so iconic, but there's only 2 stages. What's weirder is just how much important stuff is packed into this one. You get a ton of power-ups, the introduction of the Buzzy Beetle, and even 2 warp areas. Sure, the second one kinda sucks because it only takes you to World 5, but the first one lets you go all the way to World 8, meaning you only have to beat 8 levels total to get through Super Mario Bros. And I think this one's more fun than 1-2. So add up those 2 factors, and it goes all the way to number 2 on my list. 5 out of 5. What can I say about 1-1 that hasn't already been said? It's a classic level, and everyone loves it. Some would even argue it's a masterpiece in game design. It's fun, features plenty of power-ups, there's even a pipe that lets you skip most of the level if you want, but the real genius here is the fact that it's the perfect tutorial for every Mario game. It seamlessly explains every mechanic without ever interrupting the flow. This makes it perfect for both newcomers and veterans alike. There's literally nothing wrong with 1-1. I've played it 1,000 times and I will play it 1,000 more. It has gotten better with time, not worse. This one gets a perfect 5 out of 5. So, at the end of the day, that was just my own personal list. As you can see at the top, 1-1 was my favorite level. It was the most fun, iconic, and enjoyable. What might be more interesting though is at the bottom of the list were the later levels. These just weren't as fun in my opinion. But hey, that's just my list. If you liked the video, be sure to leave a like. Hey! If you're new here, be sure to subscribe.
You know what? I've had it. I'm done. I get no representation on this channel. I get none of that sweet YouTube $1 million cash. But you know what I do get? Get my fucking pants back. No! Fucking
Knock down Rainbow Six on the Nintendo 64.
Fuck that, I got my pants back though. I've had it. I'm done. I'm never coming back on this channel again. And you know what? I'm keeping the Fortnite card.
Oh. Well, guys, I've been demasculated. He stole my pants and my Fortnite card. I'm gonna have to go get those back, so if you liked the video, be sure to leave a like. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe. But above all else, just hope you had a good time. See you guys later. Bye-bye. Ethan, come back! I need my card! I need my Fortnite card!
You can't have the Fortnite card.